Good evening. I'd like to call our regular business meeting to order and ask the Treasurer to call the roll.
President Baker.
Present.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Vice
Here.
President Cole.
Present.
Ms. Gibbs.
Present.
Ms. Hudson. Mr. Preddy.
Here.
And Ms. Reyes.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. And if she would indulge me, I'd like to ask Tasha Booker to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come back to the podium.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Well, good evening. Thank you all for being here. Happy holidays, season's greetings. Board Member Hudson is unable to join us this evening because she is out of town on business. So let's go ahead and read through our agenda so we know the work before us this evening. After we review and adopt the agenda, we'll take public comment. We have one speaker signed up as of now. We will then hear the superintendent's report, and we'll have a special presentation, after which we will take up our consent agenda, after which we will hear announcements, and we will adjourn. So, having read through the agenda, the chair will now entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Treasurer?
President Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs.
Yes.
Mr. Preddy.
Yes.
Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Treasurer. And at this time, I believe we have some special guests who are going to join us.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright colored kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. A million little snowflakes falling from the sky. Everyone is different as it passes by, floating all around us. How they make us smile. A million little snowflakes are only here a while. snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Ha, ha, ha! Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleigh song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Very good. Thank you.
And those were 4th and 5th grade students from Moeller and Watkins Elementary, and their instructor is Miss Karen Morris. So we want to thank them very much for being here this evening. And thanks also to Betty Hill, who I think may have helped to coordinate that. Thank you.
And the parents.
And of course, parents. If you're here and you're a parent, raise your hand. Thank you. All right, very good. Let's move into our public comment part of our meeting. And we have one speaker signed up to speak this evening. And I know he knows the rules of speaking well. Please limit your comments to 4 minutes. Topic, Columbus Afrocentric School Board Action to thank the board for support of the new Columbus Afrocentric School. And I will ask Mr. Charles Tennant to approach the podium. And Mr. Tennant, you have 4 minutes. Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Baker, members of the board, Dr. Good, Mr. Treasurer. It's such a wonderful pleasure to be here with you. I want to thank each and every one of you of all of your support, and especially last night with this presentation. For me, I've never seen any plaque like this in my life. This is a Nubian pyramid which will be constructed, and I checked it today, and it's just about 70 degrees, and the one out there will be at a 70-degree angle. What I wanted to tell you, the pyramid is going to be 15 feet, and I wanted to explain to you why I chose 15 feet. The number 7 means completion. 8 means a new beginning. And you take 7 and 8 and you add them up, it comes to 15. And 15 means to rest. You come down the other side, you get 15 feet plus 15 feet, and it equals to 30. And 30 means celebration of a task well done. I got extremely humble, emotional last night, and Mr. Baker had to pat me on my shoulder several times because I almost broke up. And those words that Dr. Good spoke of me really penetrated deeply within my soul, and I want to thank you for that. I also came here tonight to express my sincere thanks to the architect, Kay, who is African, and I worked very, very close with him, and he explained quite a few things to me. I didn't see anybody mention last night about those columns. Those columns are called closed bud papyrus columns. They're somewhat abstract. The one on the outside is 36 feet tall. It's a closed bud papyrus column. And if you know, papyrus means paper. And you saw a lot of artwork around it. It represents an African tribal things with basket weaving. And I purposely wore tonight, Dr. Good, a pair of shoes that are basket weaved to demonstrate what they're doing. So it's symbolizing the Zulu and the Bantu tribal celebrations on how they made basket weave. The columns in the inside will be painted. They'll be somewhat abstract, and probably the next time you go over there, you'll see that it'll be a lot of lines. It was a beautiful, beautiful celebration last night. Kay did a lot of things with me in explaining his artwork, his design in that building, and it fits in perfectly. And I hope that students, parents, and the entire Columbus community get the opportunity to visit this school. It's a chance in a lifetime to see another school like this. It's the only one that I know of that's Afrocentric ever been built in the United States from ground up. So Columbus has a lot to be thankful for. And Dr. Good, I want to also give you a special thanks for being with me, for supporting my efforts, especially with this new pyramid that's coming up, hopefully by the springtime. Fort Hays is working diligently in getting it ready. It's going to light up at night. It'll be toward the front at the sign that says Afrocentric. This is a beautiful journey that I'm on. I've never seen anything like this, and hopefully we can continue to do positive things for all the children in the Columbus Public Schools. Are there any questions?
Are there any clarifying questions for Mr. Tennant, Mr. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. The pyramid, you found the funds to be able to develop that pyramid and get it built?
Well, Dr. Good is working on that, and he can probably answer that better than I can. And if he can't, I'll find the funds.
Any other
It's something that needs to be there, simply because there's nothing to demonstrate Nubian, and most people think that Nubian stands for black people in modern day Sudan, which means black faces. And the country next to it, to the northeast, Ethiopia, means burnt faces. Nubia comes from the word nub, which means gold. And the Greeks went down there and discovered gold and called them Nubian, just like Christopher Columbus mistakenly coming to the United States and seeing these brown-skinned people, and he called them Indians, and he thought he was in India. And one other thing, these closed bud papyrus columns were built by ancient Egyptians. The Greeks and the Romans copied their pyramid, not pyramids, but their columns from the ancient Egyptians. So when you go back out there, look at them, study them, and I want you to think of a rosebud, and what it is, it's a closed papyrus bud that hasn't bloomed. And if you look at a rose, it's closed before it's bloomed, and that's what these are. And I was surprised that nobody asked me what they were last night, and people just looking. And I believe, Dr. Good, in this definition of education, it's like a seed, like a corn seed, corn kernel. You take one corn kernel, you plant it, you nurture it, you water it, and this one corn kernel will produce a stalk with between 8 and 12 pieces, ears of corn. And once they do that, it will bloom and provide every kind of food that you can ever have. I gave each one of you something that I wrote, and I want to explain one thing in it. I call it the peace. It's called goodness. And you're going to see on the back page, and Dr. Good already has this, the baobab tree. The baobab tree is one of the ugliest trees that you can ever imagine. It looks like somebody uprooted it, turned it upside down, but it produces a fruit, and it's African. It's an African tree, and you'll find them a little in Australia. You'll find some in Barbados, and I've seen them in Barbados. But it produces a fruit that has more nutritional value than all the other fruits on this planet. It's the baobab tree, and it's African. It's about looks like a coconut, but it's about 20% of the size. So you'll see on the back the baobab tree. I thank you for your time and thank you for your support. And I hope soon that we have this Nubian pyramid out there. But the difference out there, you're going to have an entrance chamber, and on the top, it's going to be a little bit different. The Nubians built over 200 pyramids, and they stood for 3 basic things: burial, religious, and status. It's like owning a BMW or a Bentley or a Cadillac. They were very powerful people. You go into Isaiah and 2 Kings, you'll see the Nubians there. When Hezekiah was in a lot of trouble, he called upon his ally, the Egyptians, and Tahaka, who sent his army. Nubians had powerful warriors, very powerful, and many of them were led by women.
Mr. Tennant, thank you. I hate to ask you to stop speaking because I'm always fascinated by what you say, but
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your diligence over these past many years, and congratulations. Thank you very much. All right. No other speakers as far as I know? All right. So we will now call on our superintendent to provide his report.
Good evening, President Baker, Vice President Cole, members of the board. Tonight's Songs of the Season performed by our students also serves as a reminder that we are entering the season of snow, which brings the possibility of the coveted snow days and cancellation of classes and school activities. Let me assure this board that our team is prepared for winter weather. The board has previously approved contracts for some of our winter weather partners in operations and buildings and grounds, and tonight you'll be asked to approve 2 more who will assist in our snow removal efforts. More importantly, we've already reached out to our students' families to let them know how to get information as quickly as possible when decisions are made that might impact both their child's school day and their own day. This year, the first source of news on a snow day will be from our new Columbus City Schools mobile app, with an instant message sent directly to your smartphone or tablet as soon as I've made the decision to cancel classes. The app is the first place we will post the information even before calling the TV and radio stations. Though I know everyone on this board has already downloaded the app, let me remind our audience that all you need to do is simply search Columbus City Schools in the App Store on your mobile device. The app is free. As we have done in the past, news about snow days will also be posted on Facebook, Twitter, and our website, and families and staff will be alerted through a phone call from the district's auto dial system. It's never too early to think about snow and cold, so we've posted all of this information, including a frequently asked questions on the school cancellation process on our website. While the idea of a snow day still makes us all smile, I can hardly sleep the night before. We might need to call one. We also know that the decision to cancel class is never made lightly, and it always comes down to keeping students safe. And that's a good segue into the second topic on my list tonight, the board's continued conversations on our district's overall efforts to keep students safe from danger and from doubt. The board's first work session on safety last month at Northland High School was very productive, I believe, and demonstrating that safety is in all that we do as teachers, educators, staff, and administrators to serve our students. We've made measurable gains in creating safer school climates with fewer expulsions and out-of-school suspensions. We also learned that the dangers our students face are not limited to their time in our buildings. It can come at them in their neighborhoods, when they walk to school or travel by bus. And some dangers need greater exploration, such as the impacts of bullying, or when students simply find themselves struggling to understand their own emotions and thoughts. In the Columbus Dispatch this last Sunday was an article that examined the ways in which students and staff at 2 of our schools and their administrators handled the tragic incidents, Northland's Jason Johnson and Whetstone's Janet Routsong. It also explored the dedicated work of our care teams, led by our Director of Student and Family Engagement, Cheryl Ward. So next week, for the board's second work session on safety at Ohio Elementary Avenue, starting at 5 p.m. Tuesday evening, we will further explore the reactive efforts of our care teams, as well as the proactive efforts of our mentoring program to help students with the social and emotional issues that come when they have doubts and fears. We've also invited to this meeting many of our partner organizations and nonprofits who provide support to our students and staff because safety is also in community. None of us do this alone. We will set up round tables where the board will be joined by members of my team and with community voices to identify risks and threats in community safety and some of the potential partnering opportunities that might address security and support gaps. As a preview of our discussions, we've invited one of our valued partner organizations here tonight. I'd like to invite to the podium Tasha Booker, the Executive Director of City Year Columbus. Please come forward. In 6 of our schools, City Year's core of young people are positively influencing our students, helping to improve their attendance, behavior, and course completion, all of which are essential to building a safer school community. After Ms. Booker shares some brief information, I believe President Baker has a remark.
Thank you, Dr.
welcome.
Good, for that. And thank you for the opportunity to partner with Columbus City Schools as we work towards the common goal of creating a spirit of success for all of our students within Columbus City Schools. We don't take for granted the significance of our relationship and what it means to support 3,940 students in whole school initiatives and 984 students in targeted one-on-one and small group interventions. So I'm going to start my data purge on you guys, and so please forgive me, but my fellow data geeks will enjoy this. But I want to invite you, if you have any questions or you would like to do a site visit, I invite members of the board and the community to reach out to City Year Columbus, and we're happy to show off our core members and the students and all their success in our schools. So as I shared, in whole school support in our 6 schools, we are working with about 4,000 students, 3,940 to be exact, and one-on-one 984 students in targeted one-on-one and small group interventions. Our core members are serving as role models, tutors, and mentors to students at 6 schools: Livingston Elementary School, South, Trevitt, Champion, Linden McKinley, and Mifflin High School. And I purposely put those in those order because if you notice, they are in a feeder pattern, and that is our approach. And I'll talk a little bit about that further into my data jump. So core members facilitate our researched and data-informed whole school, whole child model through targeted support, which is academic tutoring and social emotional skills building, as Dr. Good just discussed, classroom support, which enables differentiated instruction and reinforces classroom learning after school, while also fostering whole school and community-wide engagement through school climate, attendance, positive behavior, and enrichment programs, after-school programming, and extended learning opportunities. We do a lot. City Year's Whole School, Whole Child program has been implemented in 28 cities across the nation. We have 3,000 core members serving. We are the largest, City Year's the largest AmeriCorps program in the nation, and we are the largest AmeriCorps program in Ohio. You should be very proud of that. We have a location in Cleveland as well. At full scale, City Year nationally has plans to reach more than 800,000 students in 1,100 schools, with the common goal to reach 50% of the students who are off track and promote 80% of those students to 10th grade on track and on time. We currently have 205,000 students that we're serving in 300 schools across the network. In Columbus, our future state is to serve 17 to 20 Columbus City schools that support district feeder patterns, with 180 core members working with 10,200 students. We have a lot of work to do. Locally, the selection of our core members is a rigorous process. Each one of our 54 core members are personally interviewed and selected by our Columbus site staff, and they have to pass Mama Bear here. In Columbus, we currently have 52 current. 2 will be starting with us in January. We did have to have 2 exit the program. 5 of them are Columbus City School graduates. Yes, and we are currently recruiting more. About 87% of our core members all have a college degree. About 5% have a high school diploma, so we do actually recruit a very high selective process for high school students. So if you know any that would make a good core member who wants to do a gap year like Malia Obama, give me a call. Our top 6 feeder colleges, our core members are coming from some of the top colleges around the country, but right here in Central Ohio, we have The Ohio State University, College of Wooster, Denison, OU, Miami of Ohio, and Kenyon College. 41% of our core members are African American, 8% are Hispanic and Latino, 5% are Asian, and 56 are white or Caucasian, with many backgrounds that parallel the stories of our students. So that connection, the urban school, rural school, they are really connected to our core members. 23% of them are male and 77% are female. What are these core members doing, you ask? Glad you asked. 52 core members have completed a combined total hours of 36,101 hours. It's a lot of time. What are we doing? In academics, we have enrolled 591 students to date. 311 of them in math and 280 students. Those are students that are receiving one-on-one support or small group interventions in the areas of ELA and math. In behavior, we have spent 13,595 minutes, if you love data, working with 197 students on making positive choices in the classroom and in the school community. And in attendance, we are working with 196 students, spending about 4,146 minutes working with phone calls home, working with the principals and teachers on why a student is not coming to school. In collaboration with our individual school partners, City Year Columbus is participating in several national City Year pilots and also pilots with the U.S. Department of Education. You should be very proud that we are chosen as a site in Columbus to participate with the U.S. Department of Education. Around social emotional learning, we are doing what is called a holistic student assessment. This student survey will give us a profile on student strengths and challenge areas in social emotional learning so that we can focus strategically and intentionally on what students actually need. Clover, which is a youth development framework, will help us understand human development needs, and it establishes a common language with which to communicate with and about our children and youth. The Clover model highlights 4 essential elements that people of all ages need in order to thrive, learn, and development: active engagement, assertiveness, belonging, and reflection. Growth mindset. This year in February, we were visited by 2 representatives from the U.S. Department of Education. Our site was one of 2 sites chosen to participate in this national study with the U.S. Department of Education. And City Year is the only organization to partner with the U.S. Department of Education around the growth mindset model. This pilot will deepen our understanding about the importance of growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset to help students fully succeed. In after school, we enroll approximately 110 to 120 students who attend each day over our 5 schools. One of them, we are not the after school provider, that host after school days. So in the elementary curriculum, we are proud to partner with Nationwide Children's Hospital to implement their fan club, which is fitness and nutrition from Nationwide Children's Hospital. At Trevitt, Mind Up and Spark curriculum, which will facilitate learning about brain development while providing a safe space for physical activity and a full meal. At the high school, which is Mifflin, Linden, and South, we do a drop-in homework support. Linden has also piloted a curriculum around finance and professional skill development for students. In attendance, Tier 1 phone calls home are helping our schools and teachers understand why students aren't coming to school. We're sharing the data with the schools, and we found some trends on root causes. Lastly, math inventory assessment. So students who are on the focus list at Mifflin High School are going to take a math inventory assessment where we'll use this assessment to support a curriculum to use with students when helping in homework help and math, instead of us trying to Google different assignments or reusing old assignments. We're coming up with a common way to tutor students with math. As you can tell, City Year continuously progress monitors, and we wake up with data on the brain. We focus on how to improve upon the quality of our interventions. But last year, we're so proud of our success. 65% of our students showed improvement on end-of-year math assessments. 66% of students showed improvement on end-of-year behavior assessments. 47% reduced the number of suspended students among those who were off track. 51% of students tutored in English improved from a D or an F to an A, B, or C within one academic year. 72% of the students who worked with City Year showed improvement on end-of-year assessments. While we're pleased and encouraged by the support of the district staff, and Rodney doesn't know I'm going to shout him out, but he has been paramount to the work that we're doing, and I just want to, thank him because he has really helped us be strategic in when as we think through our growth and what our plans are moving forward in the next 5 to 10 years. We are very excited to share that through the investment of the Balmer Philanthropy Group and with the support of Columbus City Schools, City Year Columbus will further expand its reach into the Linden community when we deploy a team of AmeriCorps members to Windsor K-6 next year. This grant is transformative for both City Year and for the district because the $250,000 will be shared among City Year and Columbus City schools, which will help to underwrite the district's portion for school year 17-18. So essentially, we are going in there with all the support that we need to provide a City Year team. And I just want to give you guys a round of applause for seeing that as a value add. In addition to that, this is hot off the press, we are in talks with Nationwide Insurance for a full team sponsorship at Windsor, and we are pleased with the progress. I'll have an outcome very soon. We are also encouraged by the recent $100,000 investment from AT&T. An announcement will be coming soon. We just got that news last week. Nationwide Children's Hospital has made a commitment of $40,000 in Livingston. Alliance Data has made a verbal commitment just last week of $50,000 for Mifflin. And the Adobe Foundation has invested a $50,000 investment to support the after-school initiative in Columbus. These are all new dollars that the district's support has helped us leverage in the community to provide core members in our schools. But behind all of those numbers are the stories of the students that we support. The City Year team thinks about this work with a social justice lens. And although I've shared a lot of data with you today, we are committed to City Year's value of students first, collaboration always. I want to underscore the district's partnership, the dedication and support of the school staff, and the belief in the young people by members of the board. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Booker, don't leave the podium just yet. I do believe, before I make a brief presentation, that we did have a question from Mr. Peretti.
A comment. I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, for all this work. Our former board liaison, Jason Smith, was actually a part of City Year, but I don't think I've ever really talked about this. When I was in high school, I was the beneficiary of a mentor, and as long as I've been on the board, we keep on seeing these programs getting better and better and better, whether it's My Brother's Keeper or City Year. And as we've been strategically growing these programs, you see the same results over and over of student success. So as someone that's been individually impacted by this in my life, and also seeing what this actually does, seeing the touches that and the ability that we can get in front of these kids and have that person talk to them, build their confidence, and teach them and show them what they can do in life is remarkable. You see it from when we go out and talk to our students and our parents with the third grade reading guarantee, when we're out getting those kids signed up and doing all the remedial work, to programs like this. It works. It's always that one-on-one. So I want to say thank you, and you always have my support as a board member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Peretti, and thank you for being with us this evening. I know you have your own board meeting tonight, so we won't keep you long, but we do truly value all the work that City Year does, and the partnership obviously is critically important to us and the success of our students. And come on up to the front table because we do have a presentation for you. While you're coming up, I'll also share that although not a City Year Corps member, I was a member of AmeriCorps myself many years ago. For those of you who don't know, Tasha Booker was recently selected as one of the Nonprofit Executive Directors of the Year as part of the 2017 Medical Mutual Pillar Awards in Central Ohio. The Nonprofit Executive Director of the Year award recognizes, and she didn't know this was coming, recognizes nonprofit leaders who effectively apply for-profit business principles to their organizations. The Pillar Award for Community Service honors businesses and individuals dedicated to making the Central Ohio region a better place to live. On behalf of the Columbus Board of Education, please accept this certificate of recognition, which I'll read very quickly. Whereas the success and safety of our students in Columbus City Schools is directly related to the support they have at school and in the classroom, at home, and in the neighborhoods, and from the dedicated efforts of our community and collaborative commitments of our partners in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors, including the impactful work of City Year Columbus. And whereas Tasha Booker serves as Executive Director of this impressive organization, which now serves students and staff in 6 of our schools, providing in-depth mentorship and academic support that has helped to boost attendance and achievement rates. And whereas Ms. Booker was awarded a 2017 Medical Mutual Pillar Award as Nonprofit Executive Director of the Year, recognizing her work to effectively apply for-profit business principles to her organization. Now, therefore, the Columbus City Schools recognize and honor Tasha Booker and express our gratitude to her and the City Year Columbus team for their commitment to our students, to our families, and to our spirit of success. Thank you, thank you.
Can we mention one thing about that?
Yes.
Did we hear? You definitely want to use it? No?
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes. Definitely want to congratulate her, and I don't know if it was said, but she is a proud alumni of Columbus City Schools. And so she is a graduate of our district, serving our district, and for that, we are eternally grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we will see you next Tuesday night at Ohio Avenue. So we know you have to leave for your own board meeting. Thank you very much for being here this evening. And now, assuming there are no other questions or comments on that, Mr. Superintendent, does that conclude your report?
It does.
All right. Mr. Treasurer, have you anything to share this evening?
Just an announcement that the Finance and Appropriation Committee meeting has been changed. We will meet on Monday, the 19th at 4 p.m. here. I believe we had to move it to the Cabinet Room for this meeting because this room was taken, but we moved it to Monday, the 19th to accommodate some scheduling issues. 4 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
We'll appreciate
Mr. Brown.
Save your voice for the duration. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Madam Internal Auditor, have you anything to share with us this evening?
Just briefly, Audit and Accountability is meeting tomorrow at 3:30 in the Cabinet Room.
Very good. Thank you. And now, the chair will entertain a motion that we approve our consent agenda as it has been presented to us.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All right, are there questions or comments or discussion on any piece of legislation within the consent agenda from board members this evening? Mr. Peretti.
Yeah, I just wanted to, on 10.2, I know this has been a really heavy lift by our district, and I really just want to say thank you to our staff. And I was wondering if we could just, get just a brief overview of that work. Sorry, Barb, if I put you on the spot. But more than anything, I want to say thank you for this. I know it was a long time coming. It was a lot of hours in there, and I appreciate that. And just a general overview would be great.
Okay.
Alderman Board Member Peretti, Indeed, Barbara has invested an immeasurable amount of time in writing this schedule. And so, Barbara, it'd be a pleasure to hear from you a high-level summary of that modification.
Okay, well, this is a culmination of quite a few meetings and work over several months. But I am pleased to report basically that with the action that you'll be taking tonight on this compensation plan, we will be improving the structure so that we can maintain an equitable system for our employees' compensation, and basically to make it a better plan in a number of different ways, which include adding and deleting pay ranges, adding or deleting obsolete languages, adding some, it includes all of our new classifications that were created as a result of our technology project, and just a number of different things we've done to update it. In general, a large number of housekeeping changes, but also to overall enhance the equitability for our employees.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your work on this. Any other comments on any other items within the consent agenda? Seeing none. Mr. Treasurer, would you like to call the roll?
Certainly. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you very much. Let's move on then to announcements. Next Tuesday, as you already heard, December 13th, we will hold, yes, Mr. Brown.
Yeah. Were you skipping item 6.1, which is fine with me if you choose to? I'm sorry, was it? Yes.
We already voted on that in the consent agenda.
When did we vote on that?
In the consent agenda.
No, it's not part of the consent agenda.
Item 6.1? Oh, do you mean item 5.1?
5.1, the consent agenda we voted on covers 7.1 to 12.3.
Earlier before the meeting, item 5.1, which should not have been separate from the consent agenda, was added to the consent agenda. That should be on the electronic copy of the agenda that you have before you.
Pardon me? I have the electronic copy in front of me, and that's what I work from. The consent agenda, as specified in 5.1, covers items 7.1 through 12.3. Item 6.1 is not part of that.
When you say item 6.1, I think you mean 5.1, which is...
Well, on my copy that I'm looking at live as we speak.
All right, Mr. Treasurer?
And it would not have been my intent to
I see.
address that as I did.
Same live copy, Board Member Brown is.
Okay, all right.
So we would need to vote on that part of the agenda as well.
So did that item not get moved into the consent agenda?
Did get moved in the consent agenda. Judge Brown may not have refreshed, but that was...
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump into the fray here,
Mr.
but
Treasurer, jump into the fray.
when you moved it in the consent agenda, did you change the descriptor for the consent agenda? That's what Mr. Brown is referencing. It says 7.1.
So, a point of order, or actually, no. Mr. Treasurer, I do believe Mr. Brown may want to change his vote on that particular item. Do I understand that correctly?
Well, to my knowledge, we have not acted on that item. It was not part of the consent agenda, and we didn't act on it at all. And as I started when I first raised a point of order, it was, you know, if the choice is not to act on that, that's fine with me.
All right. So, Mr. Treasurer, how do you recommend that we proceed? I do see, so what I see is 5.1 is approval of the consent agenda. However, the bracketed items include 7.1 through 12.3, but item 6.1 is after item 5.1, so it was my assumption that 6.1 is part of the approval of the consent agenda. How do you recommend we proceed?
You've approved this agenda as it is written, and as it is written, the description for 5.1, which you just voted on, only includes items 7.1 through 12.3.
Okay. Very well
so,
then.
had you not approved one of the purposes of approving the agenda is to set it in stone, so to speak, for this
Okay.
meeting. So,
Okay, very well then.
whether
So-
that was an error or not, in terms of that language, it was in fact adopted this way, so.
Very well then. So at this point, the chair will entertain a motion that we approve item 6.1. Is that in order, Mr. Treasurer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well then. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Ms. Gibbs, is there discussion? Mr. Brown?
Thank you. As I know the rest of the board knows, I don't agree with approving this travel request for the same reasons that I have not approved similar travel requests throughout this past year. I know that my voice is not the only board voice in stating that. As I've suggested, and we've begun some conversation about, I think it is imperative that we develop a plan, a system, an approach to this type of travel that helps us better demonstrate fiscal responsibility to the community and accountability, which was one of our primary goals, that we do that in a way that travel opportunities will remain, but we can do a better job of both setting some guidelines, some criteria for what works, what doesn't, what's important, what brings benefit to the schools. As I've looked at it, both over the past year that I've served and throughout my career, having done school board service before, I've not seen the benefit to this type of travel. I don't see the benefit to 3 people attending a conference when one can attend and bring things back. But I think we need a system of reporting, a system of accountability, a system of showing and being fiscally responsible and transparent. I'm pleased, and I know we spoke earlier, that yes, we're going to talk about this, and I think it'd be a good thing for the board to talk about, but I want to, and I appreciate your assurance that that's going to happen. But I think there are ways to address this that we need to undertake. Beyond that, I had hoped that we would hold off this item until that time that we could have the conversation, but at least for now, I will vote no.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And I do appreciate that input, and we will act on that when the board retreats early next year, so thank you very much. And Ms. Gibbs, do you have, is it on this particular piece of legislation? Yes, ma'am.
Actually, it is, and I thank you, and I appreciate different perspectives, but I just want to make sure as we talk about being fiscally responsible that we are not making an inference that we're fiscally irresponsible by having professional development opportunities to govern this district with the most up-to-date, cutting-edge skills, techniques, and training that is needed to run a 50,000 plus school district with a $1.2 billion budget. So whereas we all have served in different capacities, but what is happening today, it won't even be the same next week. And so I appreciate us being able to have the discussion, but I also don't want us to believe that you can ever do this job and not get training and not learn information, not learn from your peers across the country, from your Denvers, from your Phoenixes, from your Atlantas, Detroits, Nashville, Tampas, other large urban districts, other Ohio districts. So we have both local opportunities, and I'm going to take this moment to definitely promote the training that's provided right on High Street at the Ohio School Board Associations that help board members become efficient and effective in their role of governing these districts. So whether it's far or near, it's not the fact that we're traveling to get to it. It is making sure we are taking advantage of every opportunity online, through reading, through getting more perspectives than what's right here in this room, so that we can be of the best service and be accountable to this community to say we are doing our best. We oversee a learning organization. This is a people business that we are in the business of educating people, and we as the leaders cannot be so stuck to believe that we don't need to learn ourselves. And so when we stop learning, we become stagnant in our ability to be effective and impactful in those that we endeavor to lead.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. And Mr. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to add to that very briefly that it's critical, as much as we are receiving professional development, that we're also distributing best practices. This is an organization that's had the unique opportunity to tell the country the great things that we've been able to do. I actually attended a conference in, I want to say, Long Beach, where we had that opportunity to talk about the great things that were happening at Northland High School and some of our other high schools in partnership with Columbus State Community College. We're on the forefront of creating a unique learning environment that involves the entire community, that opens doors for folks who are my age or older, or for young folks who are still traveling through their learning experience within our district. We have the opportunity to spread best practices to other districts and learn from them as well. This is a unique opportunity. We should take every advantage of it. This is not something that one member can attend. If anyone has ever been to an NSBA conference, really all 7 of us should be there, because there's just so much to absorb that you can't get to everything. And again, this is an activity that is a can't see in the morning till can't see at night action. This is not partying. This is not hanging out and having a great time. This is attending conference after conference after workshop after workshop. So I do want to ensure the public who may be listening that this is an exercise that helps us become better, that helps us bring back unique opportunities that we can broaden and extend to the community. In closing, I want to say that I don't disagree with my colleague, Mr. Brown, that we can create a better reporting apparatus, that we can create some different systems that better communicate what it is that we did learn. But I want to ensure that we are not irresponsible, that we're not misusing financial resources appropriated to us by the public. We're not. Our work in this district in partnership with this administration is a clear example of that. So I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Treasurer? Yes?
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
No.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. And moving on. So as I was saying, we will see you all next Tuesday at Ohio Avenue. It will be our second work session on safety, and everyone is invited to join. And so, as Dr. Good mentioned earlier, we do plan to have roundtable discussions with community members, board members, and staff to exchange ideas about what is working well and what gaps still exist in our community's safety net. We all hope that you can join us. And now, board members, would any of you like to briefly share any points of pride or other interesting experiences you've had in the district over the past week or so? Mr. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, for those students who belong to Columbus City Schools, that participated in the Columbus Children's Choir. Their wonderful event that was at the Ohio Theater just past weekend was exceptional, was outstanding, and I'm just proud to know that several of our students had the opportunity to be a part of that, my child being one of them. But I wanted to acknowledge all of those students who participated in that wonderful concert.
Other board members have any items they'd like to share? Ms. Gibbs?
Sure. So to start, congratulations to all of the Columbus City Schools students who participated in the Harmony Project. The Harmony concert was held last Tuesday at the Ohio Theater, and they continue to thrive and to perform and to make us very proud. So we had students in both the Harmony Choir and in Transit Arts that performed in their annual program. It was absolutely wonderful. So congratulations to them and to the director of Harmony Project. Next, the Columbus Alternative High School will host its first Night of Elegance on December 19th, a reception from 6 to 6:45, and the show begins at 7 o'clock. It is a semi-formal affair for both current and alumni students. It will be followed by the annual Alumni Day on December 20th, where all alumni are encouraged to call and register to attend, and it is supported by I Know I Can, and it is a day to come back to Columbus Alternative High School to speak to students, to speak to them by grade level on what they can expect when they return to their college campuses, and it ends with the annual alumni versus student basketball game, upon which I am a cheerleader. I do not play in that competition, but to all COS alumni, please call the school 365-6006 to call and register to attend both of those events. The Night of Elegance is $10. I don't think you can buy them online. I think you have to buy them through the school. But tickets are $10, and anyone can perform. So maybe if you want a nice, enjoyable evening, you might want to come and see what they're doing. And lastly, the NSDP committee will meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Oh, Thursday, it's not Wednesday, Thursday at 8 a.m. Up in the cabinet room. It is a date change to accommodate the Thanksgiving holiday. So they'll be meeting on December 8th. And lastly, I didn't get to speak on it, but item 9.3, we awarded about 22 people the equivalent of their GEDs. And they finished their adult education, and they have completed that. My mother attended East High School, but ended up getting her GED and went on to be enrolled in Wilberforce University and work at Beatty Park as an instructional aide. And when she passed, which will be 10 years tomorrow, she was actively involved in getting a college degree and making sure that her students at Beatty Park could utilize every opportunity to be their best. And so for every student or for every person who may be considering finishing their high school diploma, it's never too late. Just do it. So we congratulate everyone who continues to pursue and strive to attain their education. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. Any other announcements? Seeing none, except for maybe the superintendent? Yes, sir.
So too, thank you. First of all, the honors and recognition is Thursday, December 15th at East High School, begin at 5:30 p.m. And then we have a Literacy Family Academy. David, did you want to maybe make a comment or two about that?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. Coming up on the 17th from 9 to noon at COSI is the annual Family Literacy and Numeracy Academy put on by the Office of Teaching and Learning with a lot of support from a lot of other departments across the district, of course. This will be a great opportunity for our youngest learners to be exploring a lot of the literacy and numeracy concepts that they've been getting in class. And it's also going to be a great opportunity for our families to gain those skills to be able to support the students while learning at home. And especially with winter break coming up, it's a perfect timing because then they'll have all those activities right at hand to be working on over the winter break. So it's again on the 17th from 9 to noon at
Thank you very much. Ms. Gibbs?
Okay, I just received a correction. The NSDP meeting has been moved to the new Afrocentric site. It will be held at 8:00 a.m. at 3223 Allegheny Avenue, and in the future, you'll be able to find it by a big pyramid in the front. But you will see it right there at the new site.
Thank you for that. All right, if there's nothing else for the good of the cause this evening, Ms. Gibbs.
I'm sorry, last thing, want to congratulate the student ambassadors on a very successful retreat weekend. I heard some chatter from the students that they really loved it. They loved what they did over the weekend. They were at YMCA Camp Wilson, I believe, with Ms. Gillison and Dr. Good. I think I saw you in a picture. So thank you very much for your leadership in that. And from what I hear, the kids had a blast. So thank you for continuing to develop those leaders.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. The chair will now entertain a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I move. We adjourn.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. Mr. Treasurer?
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
And that motion carried.
Thank you. We are adjourned.